The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to Clash of the Correspondents, the weekly show from PlanetFPL where we bring on two of our correspondents whose teams are normally playing each other. My name's Suj.
Yeah, they generally always are.
Yeah, we've had a few Clash of the Correspondents with one correspondent or the EFL special last week. Who are you again, remind me?
My name's James.
Perfect.
Still here.
And who do we have on this week, James?
We are joined by FPL_footballer, our Newcastle United correspondent, Si. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, guys. How are you all doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. And we're also joined by Mark, FPL_Badger, our Norwich correspondent. If you want to know why it's Badger and not Canary, go back to 30 and 30.
Yeah, there's a story. There's a story that's told. Mark, how are you?
Hello, boys. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me back.
No problem at all.
Pleasure, guys. Good cut draw, Mark.
Yeah, I love... Oh, dear. I think, yeah, bearing in mind there were sort of two long away draws, you know, in the previous rounds, you're thinking nice, but especially being midweek, you're thinking home draw, just someone easy at home, and everyone was saying Portsmouth at home, and, you know, no disrespect to them, but that's what sort of thing you're hoping for, and then Jesus, couldn't have been much worse, because I think both of them teams, Southampton and Spurs, would go full strength, so...
Well, you wanted an easy home tie. If we beat Southampton, you might have an easier away tie, mate. And Si, you're still in it as well, mate. You picked quite a strong team against Oxford at the weekend.
Yeah, we did. I'm actually, to be honest, I didn't see the cup draw. So if you want to tell me who we're playing or might be playing in the next round.
As we're releasing this on Thursday, pre-recording on Tuesday, it's going to sound like Si's been living under a rock for 72 hours.
True. So it's only happened last night.
You've got Manchester City away, mate.
Are you kidding? Really?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Oh.
You've got West Brom away if you beat Oxford in the replay.
All right. Well, I mean, it's already a pretty good cup run for us. We're usually out by now.
Yeah, true.
So true.
Yeah,
but we played West Brom the weekend, and they're no mugs, big, strong, physical team. So yeah, they will give you a game if you get past Oxford. They're sitting top of the championship for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. They're used to winning, and they've got that winning mentality. And I guess we're struggling to beat teams like Oxford at the moment. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on Bentaleb, James, maybe a bit later in the show, because I haven't seen him play much at all. I know he used to be at Spurs back in the day.
No, we can do it quick now. I'm a big fan of Nabil when he broke through into the team. Him and Bentaleb was a little bit before Ryan Mason, but under Pochettino in his first season, we started picking up a bit of momentum when he stuck the two kids in together. Bentaleb's a good ball-playing footballer, very left-footed, lacks in concentration, but good short passing range. Like, he's very comfortable on the ball, happy to receive it. I'm not quite sure why it's not worked out at Schalke, but essentially it didn't work out for him at Spurs because he fell out with Pochettino. Once you do that, you're going to get binned. He was... I don't know exactly what happened, but I think he was unhappy getting left out in a game or two, and he straight away, toys were out. That's it, I want to leave. All right, go on then, piss off.
Yeah, it sounds like something similar happened at Schalke, just over maybe a bit more of a prolonged time. But I mean, at this point, we'll just need some bodies, I think, to keep.
Yeah, no, I think he'll be a good
for the rest of the season.
I think he'll be a good signing for you, mate. Although I do feel it's an area with Shelvey, the Longstaff brothers, Isaac Hayden. I don't feel like that was too much of the priority for you. But then when you look deeper at the squad for Newcastle, we were discussing on the last main podcast last week about the number of centre halves that potentially can play in the back three. And in spite of all these injuries, actually, there is a bit of depth there.
Can he play up front?
Bentaleb?
Yeah.
No chance, mate. I mean, in terms of priorities, that's what you needed to fix.
Up front and left back, I think, is where we need cover. But yeah, I don't know. It's a mad one for Newcastle at the moment. I don't know if you've seen all the takeover rumours.
I have.
They always seem to come up around when we're supposed to be buying players or not buying players. So I don't really know what to believe. to be honest. So I think it will just be a couple more loan signings, hopefully. Hopefully a striker will get in.
It's interesting that you talked about whether or not he can play up front and strikers. Who do you think wasted 40 million better, Newcastle or West Ham? Haller or Joelinton?
I don't know. I think I had Haller in my pre-season team right up until the deadline. I'd heard quite a lot of good things about him in terms of his like statistics and hold-up play and stuff. I'd definitely have to say Joelinton. He's a fucking donkey.
He's not good, Joelinton, is he? I mean, Haller
honestly, I've heard fans asking for Riviere back over him.
Wow. Suj is like, who's that?
If I haven't heard of him, that says it all, right? You see,
Haller
has struggled, but you can see what he does do well. Like, he does win a lot of aerial challenges, and he's very, very strong. His hold-up play is good. He just, once he's held the ball up, he fails to pass it to someone in a claret and blue shirt. With Joelinton, I don't know what his strength is, like getting in behind. He's not as tall, is he? He's not.
I said previously. I think I said on the previous pod, and we haven't tried it yet. I don't think he's an out-and-out forward. I think he played at Hoffenheim when he was younger, and I think he's more in that kind of Firmino role, just not quite as good. I think he's got fairly decent hold-up play as long as he's not got like a defender in his back, and he can pass the ball over like short ranges and stuff. He's not a selfish player. He's just not an out-and-out number 9. And we kind of bit like Haller. I think we just haven't got the players around him that kind of suit his game. Like, you obviously need pacey players around someone that's built like Haller, and I just think it's bad squad management from both of our clubs on those signings.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Almiron and St. Maximin have the ability to break in. Like when you came to our place earlier in the season, St. Maximin did enough to get him into my North team for FPL because he was that explosive. Like at the moment, I'd take Almiron and St. Maximin as your attacking midfielders over Lanzini and Anderson, for example. I just feel like they've got a little bit more about them. But I do what you're saying. I think St. Maximin and Almiron are actually going to come good. Whether or not Joelinton's the guy that is at the centre of that attack, I'm not sure. James has got to look at he doesn't believe Almiron's ever going to come good.
No, I really like Almiron. Yeah. And that's part why it become a bit of a running joke, because he's not one of them you just go, like, he's a failure, he's not working hard. Like, every game you look at him, what the saying I always said about him is, every time he gets the ball, you feel like he's going to do something but do nothing.
Yeah.
Because he does look like he's got the ability, just, I think he's had a hard way of
expressing it. He's still young, isn't he? 22, 23.
Yeah, composure and that. Now he's got a few goals. I mean, like, 5.8 million is not a FPL option. I think, would I be right in saying, so if you wanted to go one of them, you'd go St. Maximin at 0.4 cheaper, wouldn't you?
I mean, mate, you know how many articles I've written about Newcastle for FPL. We don't have any players apart from maybe Lascelles now that are viable for the price.
It's interesting.
We'll come back onto Jamal, I think. Mark, can you get out of this, mate?
No, I don't think so. Do you know what? I'd love to sit here and say yes, but I think we're running out of nice fixtures. This is the problem. You know, like, the killer one for me was Crystal Palace at home over Christmas, where we're 1-0 up, controlling the game, 85 minutes, and then they equalise, you know. And that was about the fourth game out of 5 at home where we'd sort of gone in front, not seeing games out, and we just don't have the quality at both ends of the pitch, you know, to go 2-0 up or to go 3-0 up. And ultimately, our defence will only hold on for so long, despite the sort of massive effort from our, you know, they're playing out of their skin every week, but they just don't have the quality, you know. So it wouldn't surprise me on Saturday, similar game to Spurs. You know, you go up there, you have a lot of the ball, you have a threat, but I just don't see where we're going to get the points away from home in particular. There's sort of 5 nice home fixtures, which sort of, I think it's who we got home? Southampton.
It was a run. You have a run of 5 from game week 30. Yeah. Southampton, Everton, Brighton, West Ham, Burnley.
Yeah.
The problem is you win all 5 of them, and it only puts you on, what,
32?
Yeah.
17 right now, right?
Yeah. Precisely that. And law of averages, we might well not win all 5 of them. We might win only 2, 3 or 4 sort of thing. Then you look at the two fixtures, Newcastle and Watford, which are massive because ultimately, if we can win at them places, then that maybe I would answer it slightly different. I'm not sure we can though. The only saving grace is we do have some tricky other away games. For example, Arsenal away, they might have an interest in a cup and not so much the league at that point. Man City on the last day, they might have conceded the league and be prioritising the FA Cup or the Champions League. We might be a little bit fortunate when we play them, but it's still asking an awful lot.
Yeah, it doesn't fill you with confidence when you're looking for other teams to be resting players and slipping up. I mean, I'm in a similar boat where I just think we're not going to get enough points. I can't see where they're coming from. As a West Ham fan, the one phrase that people have said to me in the past, we're going back a few years, that really upsets me is too good to go down. I've heard it too much with Norwich this year. I'm telling you, people say you're playing good football and you are, but you're right, it's not converting into goals and it's not converting into clean sheets.
But I think there's a little bit of a joy in watching Norwich because with respect to some of the others who have gone down in recent years, like the boring Middlesbrough team, Huddersfield at times, like you always feel like Norwich Sharp, it's going to be a football match. Like it's watchable. And that's why I think
when it's your own team, I don't think there's any joy in watching defeats, is there? We could play as well as we want. It's still frustrating.
I don't know if you heard on Match of the Day at the weekend, Danny Murphy was analysing our game. He said we're the best team. I can't remember the words he used, but it's like we're the best bottom of the league team he's ever seen. And you think, well, from a neutral point of view, like it might well be the case, but there's more to it, unfortunately, than just playing good football and being beautiful in the eye. Because it goes back to what I was saying last summer about the need for investment in central defence, and we just didn't invest. It's asking too much of Farker and the players to step up. Some of them have stepped up finally, others just haven't been at it. But yeah, just the one position, obviously, I was, without sounding like a broken record, where we needed someone was the central defensive area.
They got compounded with injuries, right, which really highlighted how much of a problem that strength and depth was for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mark, what can you tell us about the two new fellas, Duda and Rupp?
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised at how quickly they've been thrown in all honesty. Duda came straight in for the Bournemouth game. I think he'd only been in training sort of once or twice. Thrown straight in, had a really good game. Nearly scored a couple as well. I think it was his shot where Steve Cook handballed it. And then down the other end of the second half, he nearly scored. It was a good save by Ramsdale. He played again at Spurs. And it's sort of like the link-up play we've probably been missing a little bit, where Stiepermann's not cut it in Premier League. Kenny McLean's actually been playing really well, but the problem is with Kenny McLean is he's not got the goals. So in the number 10 role, you need goals. He scored one, and that's part of the problem. Pukki Cantwell have obviously got 70% of our goals this year. So you take that away, there's not enough of a contribution from elsewhere. That's the thought behind Duda coming in that number 10 role. So I think he's going to play every game. Rupp, I was surprised to see come in at Tottenham. I think that was quite a bold move, to throw him straight in that sort of game. I thought he'd done all right.
Yeah, I thought he played quite well.
Yeah. I think he's that link-up play between the sort of the defensive midfield player and the attack. Leitner has not been at it this season. He's one of those who's probably not stepped up. He's out the picture now. Tribal and Vrancic, to be honest, I'd like to have seen them together by now, but that's just not happened. So he could I think he could well cement his place with Tetty in the midfield. Yeah. I thought it was more one for next season, but it's been thrown straight in, and they've done all right so far.
With Duda, he's 5 million, right?
Yeah, and Rupp's 4.5.
So he's the same. Duda's the same price as Cantwell, who's in a lot of squads, including mine, including yours as well, James.
No,
right?
Cantwell's gone.
Oh, he's gone, eh? a lot of people wildcarding now. If they had a 5 million midfield would you take Duda then because of maybe the reliability of starts if he's going to be playing every game?
Cool. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you've got to look at ownership as well, potentially. I mean, some people don't look at ownership, but Cantwell's on 23%. I suppose it would depend what you rank. You know, with Cantwell, you know what you're getting. You're getting every 3-4 games. You're getting you're getting an assist or a goal. You know, it's a difficult one. I think Duda's certainly got potential. I don't see why he can't. But then I suppose if you're going to move off Cantwell, if you was more, you know, unless you're particularly brave, you'd probably be more likely to go to Fleck or Traore. I still own Cantwell. No great urge to move off him. Yeah, it's a difficult one, really. If you was taking a wild punt, you could go for Duda because I mean he's got so little ownership and people don't know much about him. He could help you climb up the ranks.
Yeah, in terms of like budgets, if you were to go that way between Duda and Rupp, I'd probably favour Rupp actually at 0.5 cheaper. Might be the way to go. But I think, as I've said a couple of times, like Cantwell owners, there's no need to rush off. No. For me, it was a case of moving funds around positionally in my squad, which is the reason that I did that. One budget option is part of the opposition side. Isaac Hayden 4.3 is still knocking about in quite a lot of teams. Obviously got the winner the other week against Chelsea. How many minutes, and it's difficult to answer, but when he plays, he does tend to play the 90. And he seems to be playing in the majority of the games at the moment. Is he a viable fifth midfielder, sit on the bench option still, Si?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I had him for the first couple of weeks, then I switched to Cantwell, and then I've only just got rid of Cantwell. I swapped him for Salah for the double game week, which was quite exciting. It's a bit of a turnaround. I don't think he's going to outscore Cantwell this week, though. No, he's a solid option. I just think you're never going to play him, and his kind of where his returns are unreliable, and also where he plays is quite unreliable. He's become that utility player. He's been playing at right back the last couple of weeks. We've got some guy on loan from Inter Milan that looks like he's going to become our right back potentially. I don't know what Hayden's minutes are going to look like. What Bruce tends to do is he'll play his midfield two until we have a shit result, and then he'll swap them out. So it'll either be like the Longstaff brothers for a couple of games, and then when they don't play well, he'll ship them out. And he's been putting Hayden and Shelby in. So we're obviously with Bentaleb, I think that's going to mix it up a bit. I don't know if he really needs to play Bentaleb and Hayden, possibly. There's a lot of combinations in there, like you said, but I think I'd be looking at other areas for Newcastle. Particularly if we go out in the FA Cup, I think they might finally become a bit of an option around the blank game weeks, and also, I don't know, probably not the doubles, but I think, blank game weeks, you might see hopefully a bit of interest in some Newcastle assets.
Well, yeah, interesting you mentioned that because you're scheduled to play Villa at home in game week 31, and I think for those considering the free hit in that game week, that's going to appeal. Like even people like Almiron saying Maximin, you can see it.
Everyone has to put Maximin in his squad. He's so fun. Like in such a dull season, honestly, this guy he's just lit up everyone, all Newcastle fans. I've never seen anyone like take to a player that, I mean, really, he's played 10 games because he's been injured a couple of times, but like his personality, the way he plays, even like how he is on social media.
I was going to say,
He's incredible, and he had fans calling him out for playing shit against Oxford, and he I've never seen it before. He owned up to it, and he was like, it's the worst game I've played.
He just said my worst game for Newcastle. It was really funny.
Incredible, and I think that's just like, that just shows the desperation of Newcastle fans to just have a bit of joy in their lives, is being able to watch a player like that.
James doesn't like it when players are honest on the media, though. So
no, I think that's all right. I think
it's only West Ham players. When West Ham players are honest in the media
every week on the TV.
If Mark Noble says that we played badly, he doesn't like it. But if St. Maximin says he played badly, it's all right.
Plus, because
it's biased. It's fine.
No, I'm just showing that I'm not racist and I'm sticking up for my overseas comrade.
Newcastle's not overseas.
Maybe Mark Noble needs to wear a Gucci headband.
It's still part of the mainland.
Have you been to Newcastle? I'm telling you, that town is a different planet, mate. Sell Sell me Jamal Lascelles, big tasty, 4.2 million. Talk me out of
Big
it,
tasty
please.
with bacon. He's
With bacon,
upgraded.
yeah.
I mean, exactly. How many Big Macs do you want for the end of the season?
Talk me out of it, mate.
We've right. The way I see it, we're on 30 points. I think we need 42 points to be safe. You look at where those points are going to come from. I don't think we're going to get 4 wins. I think, if we're just looking at 42 points, I think there'll be a couple of draws in there. You look at the 4 home games that we've got, the ones that you'd circle on the calendar. You've got Norwich, then you've got Burnley, then you've got Villa, and you've got West Ham. And then after that, we've got a pretty tough run-in. But I think, based on the way that Bruce plays, I think there'll be quite a few 0-0 draws in there. And I think we'll basically just scrape to 42 points come the end of the season. So I don't see too many wins. And if games are tight, I think the best option for Newcastle would be centre-backs. And if he can stay fit, 4.2 million, he's never really in a shout with bonus unless he scores. So
Yeah, true.
I know you had like that whole joke about the whole Big Mac thing, but it's true. Like, I don't know. It feels like club captain. He's got maybe 1 or 2 goals in this season. You look at how many goals our defenders have scored this year. It's crazy. You'd think he's going to get in amongst it.
I've had Fernandes for quite a bit of the season as well in my North team, and he's done all right for me as well. Lascelles really is flavour of the month for anyone on wildcard at the moment at 4.2, coming off Rico and Kelly, and you can't argue with it. And yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Newcastle's defensive record this season as well. On the whole, you've been really solid. I mean, yeah, you play 5 at the back and with defensive holding midfielders in front of it, but if it keeps teams out, it keeps teams out, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I always struggle. I always struggle with putting Newcastle defenders in my team. It's like double pain when they eventually concede, or they let up so many big chances that, I mean, if Dubravka was 4.5, he'd be straight in my team as my keeper.
Yeah, Dubravka 3.8 points per game is a good return. Just 5 doesn't feel quite right.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping next season they finally realise that we're shit and that they price us like a team that's bottom 5.
When he's doing points per game at nearly 4, they're not going to, mate. He'd be 5 million again, wouldn't he? Can I ask, Si, when all the centre backs are fit, what's the best 3?
If I was picking a team, it would be Lejeune left side, Lascelles, and then Shah on the right side. And then we'd play similar to, hopefully try and emulate how Sheffield United play. Because you saw Lejeune scoring 2 goals in the last 2 minutes against Everton. And Shah can do the same thing. And Lascelles is like a natural defender. I think that 3. I mean, you look around the league, I don't know, I'd probably put those 3 in the Man City back 3.
I wouldn't argue that.
I wouldn't argue that. Liverpool right now.
I'd keep Laporte, but other than that, 2 out of 3 could get in for sure.
I've been a big fan. Forget the whole McDonald's thing. I've been a big fan of Lascelles for a long time. I think he's had terrible luck with injuries. I think not so much now, but I think there was a time a couple of years ago where he was knocking on the door and he should have got an England call up, in my opinion. He's captain of the club. He's still quite young. Was he 25, 26, Si? Lascelles?
About that, yeah. I think, to be honest, I think he's plateaued a bit. And his injury
I agree.
Not that bad. He's just, he seems like one of those players that he'll either stick at the club for a very long time and he'll go down as a bit of a club legend, hopefully if we win something, or maybe it's time for him to move on. I don't want to see him leave. Obviously, he's particularly during the early Benitez years, he was vital to us, and if we ever go down again, he would be imperative that we keep him. I just think for his own career, I could say it's about any new player that plays for Newcastle. You're going to have a nice time. Fans are going to enjoy watching you play. They're going to cheer and sing after you. But at the end of the day, your career is short, and currently you're going to be just battling to stay in the league every season. I think he's better than that.
It's interesting that the 3 that you mentioned as your favoured trio at centre half. I'm pretty sure that's what you said last summer as well. Obviously, as Suj mentioned, Fernandes has had a decent run of minutes, played 90 minutes every game now since the 1-1 draw with Wolves in game week 10. And I thought Kieran Clark was outstanding against Chelsea as well. So if I go
5 good centre backs,
that's what I'm saying. So there is a little bit of depth there. If Is there any concern if for people to go to Lascelles, or is it just, look, he's captain, don't worry about it?
I think the only one out of all those centre backs that's most comfortable playing in the middle of a back three would probably be Fernandez. All the others, I think, prefer, like, Kieran Clark's left-footed, so he's always just played like left back or left centre back. So I think he's a bit more comfortable out on that side. But we don't have any kind of centre backs that you would say, like, that's the person that kind of the linchpin that sits in the middle and doesn't go too far out and on either side and contests the main striker for the opposition. So I'd say he's like nailed on in the team as long as he's fit.
Yeah, I would see that the same way personally. Mark, there's been a lot of talk recently about players in the community about sort of levelled out at a kind of starting price like Raul Jimenez, and obviously Teemu Pukki falls into that. Is it still viable just to stick him back in there at his price at 6.5?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at it, he's got 11 goals, hasn't he? He's ticking over. I think, obviously, he had the quiet spell probably after I was on the last pod, and he had a few weeks where, you know, he blanked, and that was when people sort of had enough of him, really. They sort of saw better options developing, but I mean, on the face of it, you know, like a lot of good strikers do have them sort of quiet spells, and with Pukki, people weren't quite sure whether it was a bit of a flash in the pan at the start and he got a little bit lucky or not. But I know the last couple have been penalties he's scored, but I mean they still count. So 11, it's a decent return for that value. You know, over 100 points. I don't think, obviously, we're hitting the heights where we were saying earlier in the season about golden boots and things like that. You know, we didn't quite know how good he was going to be, but you know, we know for a fact he's our penalty taker now. We weren't 100% sure of that at the time. We know he's nailed on. I think you could do a lot worse for that price point, and like you say, leave him. It's difficult because it's the team structure now, though. You know, for example, I think because of the likes of Danny Ings coming along, he doesn't help. You know, for example, I've got that Vardy. I could upgrade to a Aguero, a Aubameyang, and then you've got the sort of the Ings. Do you want another, or can you have another 6.5 player to go alongside him? Because my third striker, for example, is Greenwood. So I think it would have to be on a wild card where you're sort of planning ahead potentially. I think potentially, I mean, assuming Norwich go out the cup, game week 31, we're home to Everton. If people were going to free hit, you could do a lot worse than have Pukki in your side for Everton. Assuming, obviously, we've still got something to play for in that game. One would hope we do, and it's all out. We have to win. So yeah, you could look at Pukki Cantwell for that one, certainly.
Mark, I just realised I didn't realise you were 6 points adrift at the bottom. I mean, that must be like mentally. Like, if you don't get anything out of this Newcastle game, surely that might be curtains for you, right?
Yeah, I think that we thought that, though. I mean, against Bournemouth.
It's mind games. I was playing mind games with you now.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Cheeky boy. No, I mean, like I say, the killer blow for me was we'd had several games all over Christmas and in early December where we was winning and ended up drawing or losing. The Bournemouth one felt like, I don't know, maybe a bit of weight off the shoulders a little bit, and we managed to pull a result off. So I don't know. Maybe you can only hope now that maybe it's you're playing with less pressure and.
I mean, again, I've like not looked at any football for last week, but I just looked at the fixtures this weekend. You've got like Bournemouth, Villa, West Ham, Brighton, and then our fixture, like. Man, that's a lot of points going to be flying around this weekend. If you need any encouragement, I think like no team has outplayed us as much as you did at the start of the season. I know Bruce was trying to be a bit more expansive in that game, and I think actually it was because of that fixture that he decided that he was going to just go back to the Benitez way of playing and shut up shop because of how much you actually dominated us. And I I think it will come down to the fact that like you're going to have like 75% possession in this game. It's whether you can do anything with it.
Precisely, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But that's the case in too many games where we've not been clinical enough, unfortunately. And funny enough, that Newcastle game and the Man City home game were games where we thought maybe we could do really well in this league, and bit of a false myth really, and maybe there was a bit of complacency there where even from not just the players but the board as well, to think, it's still August, the window's not sharp, we don't need to invest, we've got more than enough here to be able to sort of brush teams aside, when in reality it's far from it.
Guys, let's end the show with predictions as we do. Mark, do you think you're going to get something out of the game at the weekend?
No, I don't. I can't. I'd love to sort of say yeah, but I don't know. I think it would be a 2-0 loss, I reckon. Unfortunately, okay. I can't see anything other than we go there, miss a load of chances, and we get punished
on the counter. What about you, Si? You thinking similar to Mark?
Yeah, I always think whenever we play every game, it's whoever scores first.
Right.
It's such a big difference, but to be honest, I'd probably have said the same thing as Mark. I think they'll dominate after the game. The manager will complain about that they should have won and we were terrible, which is what every manager does when they play us this season. I think we'll score from a set piece and then one on the counter late. So 2-0, 2-1. I think we might win this one.
I'm going with a draw this weekend, James. I think there's a lot riding on it for Norwich now. With the other teams in and around picking up points, are going to be up for it, but probably not got quite enough quality to score more than one. And I don't see Newcastle. If Newcastle scored twice, they'll have won the game.
I've seen this FPL story unfold before. I think Norwich will win this weekend.
Really?
Yeah,
Norwich
winning 1-0 is the most unlikely score probably of the weekend. So that's what I'm going for. 1-0 Norwich, big tasty with bacon, own goal.
Oh,
Mark, if it does go really bad and you do end up going down, just know that I'm going to get you on my spin-off show next year, PlanetFPL, and I'm going to get you and Suj on together as guests.
Yeah.
How is it James's spin-off show when you and me, Mark, are going to be the ones in the EFL? I tell you what, when you play us in the Cup, in the Carabao Cup, we'll get you on the EFL show next season.
All right, okay.
And I'll be looking forward to my away day at Norwich City next year. It'll be a bit easier for me to get tickets for that.
You never know. I mean, we're sort of saying, I'm very realistic about what might happen, but I suppose it does only take that massive win on Saturday, and then that does
close the gap a little.
The table looks a lot more rosy then, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden, that sort of 2 wins out of 3, and you just never know.
I think psychologically, being 1 win out of getting yourself out of the drop zone makes a big difference. Fingers crossed that you get to that kind of touching point of 20 points, 21 points.
You've got to fill the gap before you can close it, really.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I just touched on it, obviously, the set-piece thing, and that's our downfall. We're conceding a lot of goals from set pieces. And
I'm buying Lascelles.
Yeah, James has got...
Ideally, I think we've kept 3 clean sheets all season, so you're having to outscore every single game. You're having to, score that second or third, and we don't always have it in us.
Unfortunately,
get 3 clean sheets, 2 of them against Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for the articles and the content that you're producing, and also all of the interaction on Twitter for the FPL community. Some FPL players who don't follow the likes of Newcastle and Norwich as much, obviously, it's very valuable stuff. So we obviously want to say thank you for all of that. We will have you on again before the end of the season, no doubt, because we'll have one more round of Clash of the Correspondents. But other than that, thank you for joining us this morning. James, what do we have left this week?
Final plan tomorrow. Find out if I really am or really not buying Big Tasty with bacon. And then we're into game week 25.
Into game week 25. And by the time we're at the final plan, because this is pre-recorded before Wednesday, we will know if West Ham lost by more than 4 in the relegation zone and whether or not Mane made a miraculous on crutches appearance and saved everyone's triple captaincy.
Listen, people are probably feeling low about that right now when this is released. Mane did not make a recovery. Spoiler.
So yeah, we'll be very interesting to see what the final numbers are, which we'll obviously run through on the final plan tomorrow. Other than that, thanks for joining us. Ciao for now.
Thanks, lads. Good luck this weekend. Cue music, man child.
Thanks.
The Fantasy Football Show.